And welcome to this edition of the Native News Update on this Wednesday, May 9th. I'm your host for today's program, Paul DeMain, and many of the stories we read here can also be found at our website at IndianCountryNews.com. And here are some of the news stories for the day. A United States fact finder surveying the lives of Native Americans and Alaska Natives said May 4th he'll recommend in an upcoming report that some of the tribe's lands be restored, including the Black Hills of South Dakota. James Anea, a UN Special Rapporteur, has been meeting with tribal leaders, the administration, and Senate members over 12 days to assess U.S. implementation of the Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous People. He plans several suggestions in his report, which he said he'll likely will deliver to the UN's Human Rights Council this upcoming September. Anea said land restoration would help bring reconciliation. He named the Black Hills as an example. He said restoring to Indigenous people what they have as a legitimate claim can be done in a way that is not divisive, so that the Black Hills, for example, isn't just a reminder of the subordination and domination of Indigenous people in this country. President Obama endorsed the Declaration on Rights of Indigenous Peoples in 2010, reversing a previous U.S. vote against it. Anea is the first UN Special Rapporteur on Rights of the Indigenous to visit the United States. He met with several members of the executive branch and had the chance to brief members of the Senate Committee on Indian Affairs. He lamented that he was unable to get individual meetings with any members of Congress. The three affiliated tribes in Minot, North Dakota has collected more than $3 million in outstanding or past due drilling fees from oil companies since the beginning of the year. Tribal Tax Director Mark Fox tells the Minot Daily News that the $2.3 million was recovered from WPX Energy Inc. and the rest came from several different companies with outstanding balances on their oil and gas drilling fees. Fox says the tribe signed a state tribal oil and gas tax agreement in June of 2008 that gives authority to the tribal tax department to collect fees from oil companies before they can come into or drill on the Fort Berthold Reservation in west central North Dakota. Since the agreement was signed, the tribe has collected about $93 million and the state has collected $167 million in oil and gas taxes. Coeur d'Alene tribal members cast their votes to fill 3 open Coeur d'Alene tribal council positions recently, and Chief Jay Allen was again re-elected to the tribal council, receiving the most votes of any candidate in the election. First elected to the council in 2003, this will be Allen's 4th consecutive 3-year term. The tribal voters also elected Donald E. Szynski and Lita A. Campbell to fill the other 2 open seats. Lita Campbell had previously served 2 terms on the tribal council. Campbell works for the Benoit Medical Center as the Director of Contract Health Services. Donald Szynski is a local business owner. This will be his first term on the council. During swearing-in ceremony at Rose Creek Longhouse in Worley, the 7-member council unanimously re-elected Allen to another year as the chairman of the tribe, a position he has held since 2005. The U.S. Bureau of Indian Affairs is quietly taking sides in a power struggle that has torn apart tribal government on the Fort Apache Reservation despite declaring neutrality in the dispute, according to records. Records obtained by the Arizona Republic suggest that the agency has undermined tribal court authority in an ongoing dispute between Chairman Ronnie Lupe and the tribal council and courts. Lupe has defied a suspension vote by the council and an arrest warrant issued by the chief judge for the White Mountain Apache tribe. Lupe and tribal attorneys contend that those orders violate the tribal constitution, are therefore moot. Chief Judge Reagan Armstrong Sr. complained to a regional BIA director recently in March that one of the top BIA agents in Arizona told police not to enforce the arrest warrant. The letter from Armstrong to Brian Bowker complained to Bowker that Warren Youngman, BIA Assistant Special Agent in charge for Arizona, instructed the police chief in White River not to arrest Lupe because federal authorities recognized him as the Apache leader. Correspondence between Bowker and Lupe says the BIA offered to mediate that conflict. A northern Minnesota woman who pled guilty to biting off another woman's ear at a New Year's Day party has been sentenced to 6 months in a community corrections facility. As part of a plea agreement, 25-year-old Jolene Rose Hart of Red Lake acknowledged that she intentionally bit off the woman's ear and also bit her nose. The victim underwent 3 reconstructive surgeries to reattach her ear. The assault happened during a January 1st, 2009, during a party on the Red Lake Ojibwe Reservation. Hart faced a maximum sentence of 20 years in prison on the charge of maiming. So watch out if someone wants to do one of those hickey things on your neck. Biting is in, huh? A Crow Agency, Montana man who pled guilty to trafficking in eagles and hawks has been ordered to pay $98,500 in restitution. The U.S. Attorney's Office said 23-year-old William Esley Huggs Jr. was sentenced last week to 360 days in prison and given credit for already serving that time. Huggs pled guilty in January to selling golden eagle wings in a carcass, a bald eagle carcass, along with bald eagle wings in a tail and hawk's tails to an informant. Huggs said his father, his father, his uncle, and 3 other Crow tribal members have already pled guilty to violating federal eagle and migratory bird protection laws as well. And that's going to be another roundup of news from Indian Country on this edition of the Native News Update. We want to thank you for joining with us and come back again soon. Miigwech.